All right. So we just actually let's before we actually move on to restart receiving payments, let's go ahead and take a look at our income tracker. Okay, so we talked about this before. Your income tracker is basically going to give you a list of all the necessary invoices that you have sent in the course of your business, right? This keeps track of every invoice that you send and every payment that you receive. It also gives you a potential kind of date of when you sent it and when it's expected to be due. So as you can see, we have Mr. Bob Mason that's overdue his payment because we're on the 27th. He was supposed to pay us before then. So we'll talk about other statement charges that you can do, that you can charge your customers for having late fees and etc. tomorrow. Okay, but for now, we are going to be just looking at all the bills that we just did today. So a lot of them are February. Okay. I mean, all of them are due February. So as you can see, we have a bunch that we just did today, earlier today. We have a couple here for the Anderson wedding. We have one for Bob Mason, and we have some for Maria Cruz for a while back. So again, this is a perfect example of how you can be able to check, mark, and keep track of your accounts receivables. Okay. So now we can go ahead and talk about what happens when we actually start using the receive payments. So just like our vendors, right? If you choose to enter in a bill, you must use the you must use the pay bill options in order for QuickBooks to make the associations with the bill that you've entered. It will, by using that little setup in QuickBooks, it will tell QuickBooks that you're attempting to reduce your accounts payable by making a payment. Okay, same thing for this one. If you enter in an invoice, you should use the receive payments option. So QuickBooks knows that you're associating the invoice by reducing the accounts receivable by receiving a payment. Okay, don't use sales receipt when you've created an invoice. Okay, that's a big no-no. So your only option that you have is to receive the payment when you receive the money. Okay, so here we're going to take a look at a payment that Mr. Bob Mason has done. All right. So here, Mr. Bob Mason's going to pay for one of the amounts. I believe he pays for the 400 amount for invoice. Confirm that the invoice is number 39747. Okay, so let's go ahead and receive a payment from Mr. Bob Mason. So again, we are currently on the income tracker, which you can find on your home page. Your icon bar, not on your home page. The income tracker could be found on the icon bar, or it could actually be found on the vendor center. The customer center. Okay. So here, if I'm in my income tracker, I go to manage transaction and I can actually receive payments. Okay, so that's one way you can receive a payment. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and exit out of this. And before we get to the customer center, let's deal with our home page first. So here's my home page. I can receive payments right here on my home page. Straightforward. You could go up to your menu bar, go to customers, and you'd be able to also receive payments. Okay. And then you could also go to your customer center. All right. You can click on anybody, right? And you'd be able to receive payments. You can also make sure when you highlight somebody, you can say that they have received, you can receive a payment there. And lastly, you can receive a payment using the transactions, right? Receive payments. So on the Customer Center, you have three ways, right? You have new transaction, right click, and you have manage transactions. You have it on the home page. You have it on the menu bar. And if you use Income Tracker through the icon bar or the Customer Center on the icon bar, you have one in the Income Tracker. Okay, so again, you can also access the Income Tracker right here on your Customer Center. Okay, but let's go ahead and close this because I want to make sure that you guys are able to see this by just going ahead and using the actual one on homepage, because this one gives you a blank one. It doesn't have anybody's name in there, so that's what I like to use and be able to type it in there, okay? So the person that's making a payment is going to be Mr. Bob Mason himself. So I want to show you that, you know, again, when you type in a few letters, it should be able to pop up the people that are under your customer list. So again, here I have Bob Mason. Boom. All right. And I believe he's making a payment. When is he making this payment? Does that say 29 or 28?
28.
28, so the next day. So he pays on the 28. All right. Now the question is, what is the invoice amount? Now, once I typed in his name, you're going to notice that QuickBooks pulls up every single invoice that we billed Mr. Bob Mason for. And what you can do for this is you do have options that customers can pay multiple bills with one check. So that is exactly why they give you all the options on exactly which one he's going to pay for. But we know which one he's going to pay for. We know that he's going to pay for invoice number 3947. So what we're going to do is on the left column, you want to select it. And then here you go. It automatically populates the invoice amount here. And of course, we know it's overdue. So we can go ahead and just say, okay, yes. Okay, so we could charge him for more. We could charge him for more, but in this case, that's not until tomorrow. So here, we recognize that just by clicking that one invoice, it automatically says that, okay, well, Bob Mason should have paid us exactly $401.38. But customers can pay partially. They can give you multiple checks, and for reasons being is maybe they thought the minimum payment was this, or maybe they thought their bill was this, okay? So anything can happen, and usually what happens is if they underpay you, you have the option to contact them to ask them what's going on, okay? But again, in this case, he's paying us for the full amount, and again, we're only paying for this check. Now we'll get to see one of the examples where we can pay multiple invoices with one transaction. So here you go. He paid for the full amount of $401.39. He wrote a check to us, and can someone tell me what the check number is? 5256. Okay, so that is his check number. Memo. Okay, so this is also gonna this is important that you understand that by filling out a memo, it tells us something that this person has paid us. But not only that, it also shows up on their customer statement. All right. So I believe this message says payment for invoice. What does it say? Okay, and is there a check number associated with it too?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
No, all it did was based on the book, it's just the invoice number. But
Okay.
I'm sure there's an option that we can also put the check number.
Okay, yes. So payment for invoice number 3947. Okay, so yes. Okay, and this when the customer gets their statement, right, just like a credit card statement, it will show this transaction, and it will show that he made a payment to this particular invoice. And it says in the book that some customers won't accept a statement if they don't know what bill they paid, which doesn't make any sense. If you paid your bills, like if you're responsible and you wrote a check for the exact amount, I don't know. It's kind of weird how the book mentions that some customers won't accept a statement if there's missing information. So make sure that you understand that filling out the memo is very important, especially if you're sending reports to your customers. You want to look a little professional and you want to look collective. So again, he wrote a check right here for 401.39. Everything looks good. That's all he's making a payment for. So we can go ahead, click save and close. Right? Once you get that beep of approval, that's it. That's how you receive your payments. Straightforward, simple. You click the button, you fill in the information that you received a check, you click on which bill he's paying for or invoice that they're paying for, and save and close, and that's it. Easy. All right, any questions on receiving payments for a check?
None so far.
Okay, so another form of payment that you can utilize as well is going to be if a customer decides to pay with a credit card. So again, I believe it's Maria Cruz. Okay, and let's go ahead and receive a payment from Maria Cruz. So again, here it pops up. Maria Cruz has a total of 3 invoices, totaling up $19.50. So let me go ahead and verify that with my chart here. Okay, so on page yes. Yes, so yes, so she owes us a grand total of $19.50. And she decides to pay us using a credit card. Okay, so once we do that here, it's gonna populate a little notification saying, okay, well, this person, what kind of credit card are they using, what's their credit card information, and lastly, what's their expiration date. So in this case, I believe it's Visa. Okay, that's the most common one that a lot of people use. A lot other ones could be MasterCard, other ones could be American Express, whatever it is, but commonly most people have either Visa or MasterCard. This person's using Visa and their card number is, I think it's the same as before. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got some fraud going on here. We have someone with the same exact card number. Expiration date here is going to be
10/20/20.
10/20/20. Oh, it expired already, but that's okay. We're in 2019, so that's okay. So 10/20/20. All right. And then you can go ahead and click done. So it's going to charge their card for this full amount, okay? Because we just typed in there, right? So here, I believe Maria wants to pay every single invoice. Okay, she's going to pay them all in one go, one shot. Okay? So she's going to charge this for the full $19.50. Here is a reference number. Reference number could be anything, could be all invoices, could be whatever it is. But in this case, since she's paying all three, you don't need to write anything in there. But however, my memo I'm going to write here is all invoices. I'm just making something up. I don't know if the book has something. All invoices paid with Visa. Okay. So again, here I have a one-shot go with a credit card use. So again, when we utilize a credit card, it's going to automatically ask you for the credit card information unless you have their credit card number saved in each customer profile. Okay? Then if it's already saved, you will not be asked this. Okay? So now that, of course, so that means Maria Cruz never saved that piece of information in there, so it will ask me to save it in there. All right? So now that I've verified all this, I can go ahead and click save and close. All right? Boom. And that's how you recognize using a credit card and etc., etc. Pretty straightforward. Okay. And I believe that is the last thing that we do for credit card transactions. So next one is, okay, well, what if we have a customer that decides to take advantage of they pay something, but they take advantage of a discount. So here we're gonna go ahead and show you, well, what happens. So when we give our customers terms, right, it's an incentive for them to pay us as soon as possible. So their incentive is they could get a discount on whatever product or service that they purchase from us. So in this case, I'm going to show you what happens when a customer decides to do that. Okay. So again, we received another payment from Mr. Bob Mason. So Mr. Bob Mason is starting to be very popular around here. Okay, he's has so many invoices open, and he also has so many bills to pay. So I'm gonna go ahead and receive a payment from him. All right. So as you can see, Bob Mason's filled in already. And now there are left with 2 different invoices, okay? Now, one of them has a discount in it, all right? And what's going to happen is, I believe we are going to pay, he's going to pay for invoice number 104. Let's see what the book says. He's paid from invoice 106.
That's what it says. Our customer is paying for invoice 106 after taking the discount.
Okay, I missed the discount page. What page are you on?
57?
57. Oh, 55, 56, 57. Okay. So here we are recording. Okay. So yeah, so he's paying, Mr. Bob Mason is paying for invoice number 106. Okay, good. So again, once you do that, there is an option that you have to take. So where he's going to pay for invoice number 106. All right. Now, what amount did he give us? And this is where you can change the number. What amount did he actually give us?
151.45?
One.
Oh no. Wait, did I say? If the amount paid is not an exact, no, this is, it's just explaining that it will automatically give it in paid.
What is the amount for?
Well, based on the calculation, it shows 150, 145.
45. Okay, so that's what he sent us. He sent us another check, correct?
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Help, guys. I don't see that. Oh,
Okay.
her invoice is automatically selected since the amount is 151. Well, on the step 3,
Mm-hmm.
QuickBook will automatically apply the payment to the August invoice. Here, invoice 104 is automatically selected. No, that's different. It's a different invoice number. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So what happens is, so this is what I'm gonna show you. Okay, I'm just asking you basic information. So he wrote a check number for was at 5912, and he wrote it for 151.45, right? So what's gonna happen is that because this invoice we know has a discount, what you're going to do is you're gonna select that, and at this top corner right here, you have discounts applied credit. So when you select that, it's gonna populate that bill, right? And it's gonna say, oh, did he make it within the discount period? Well, yes, he did. And here it validates to you how much that discount was for, which is for $3.09, which if you actually do the math right now, if you take 154 and you subtract 309, that is indeed 151.45. All right, so once we apply this discount, we could go ahead and click done. And it says that please specify a discount account. Okay, so let me see. What is the account name again?
It's all it's
Okay, it's going to be the sales discount account. All right, and then discount class is San Jose. All right, and we're going to go ahead and click done. So now it's applied to this invoice. We know this invoice is going to reflect 151.45, okay? And when we select it, okay, and apply the discount of 309, it should be for the total of 151.45. So he was right. He kept track of his bill and he calculated the discount and sent us a check already. So we'll talk about what happens if he overpays or he underpays. We'll talk about that tomorrow. What happens when we need to give credits to our customers, and credits will either apply to the invoice, either we send back a check with the difference amount, or it actually applies to a future purchase. Okay, and we'll talk about that tomorrow with customer credits. Okay.
question.
Yes.
Question. On that particular screen we have right now, what you check was the invoice 104. Does that mean that?
Oh, no, it should be one.
I'm sorry, because it shows that it seems like the 151 was applied to the 104 instead, so I'm not sure.
Let me see. It should be, yeah, it should be invoice number 106. I applied it to this one. Okay, I see what you mean. All right, let me uncheck that and check this. Okay, so now that I applied the discount, is he making a payment for 151.45, which he is making 151.45. Okay. Yep. discount date is on the 28th, which we paid on the 28th. So here you go. Yeah, thank you for that. I didn't realize I selected the wrong one. Okay, so there you go. Invoice. Now it's correctly selected to the invoice number 106. Here is this. The discount has been applied, and the invoice now amount is going to be $151.45, which he is paying. All right, memo here. You can say payment for invoice number 2019-106, and that's it. All right. Now that we've received the payment and he received the discount, you just go up here and make sure you apply the discount before you select Save Changes. Because if you don't apply the discount, QuickBooks will not recognize it. It will recognize that there is a discount, but it will not apply it to the invoice. So it's very important that you select Apply the discount. Okay? Save and close. Beep of approval. So yes, we are done. So that is what happens when you apply, when you receive payments when applying for the discount. So now that we've done a whole bunch of checks and stuff, let's go ahead and see what we need to do next step, which is to make a deposit into the bank, because we have a whole bunch of things here. If you look at your icon very, very carefully, it says that you have 4 pending deposits, okay? We received 2 checks from Bob Mason. We received 1 from Jerry Perez, and we also received 1 from Maria Cruz, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and double check my cash register, because if you remember before that, we checked it out. So right now, I currently have $11,562. I haven't made any deposit to the bank yet. So this is why it's important that you understand this, and I'll show you what happens after you made the deposit. So here, I'm going to go ahead and look at my deposits that are pending. So when I come here, rule of thumb is that you need to understand that there are little things that you need to know, especially when you're depositing money into the bank. As we know, checks and cash are usually things that you have to physically deposit, correct? Where credit card transactions should go through immediately. But as a vendor or as a person who provides a product or service, what you don't know is that if you utilize, whether it's Visa, MasterCard, American Express, whatever credit card company to collect the money for you, you have to pay a percentage of your sales to them. Okay? All right? So when you're dealing with that, because this is keeping track of your bill, the money that you receive, right? We're going to actually separate them because we have to also include what the credit card company is going to charge us for our sales. So again, they charge us a percentage of sales, or they charge us a straight fee for utilizing their services because they are getting the money to us instantly. That is the only reason why they charge us convenience fees, because for someone who owes us for example, Maria Cruz, she owes us $1,950. And because as a person who uses a credit card, if that person had $2,000 in their hands, they would have written us a check. But they used a credit card to pay for her in advance. And because the service between that and this and them giving us the $2,000 immediately, they're going to charge us a convenience charge for that, okay? So with that being said, the book says If you are going to deposit your checks, your cash, and your all your money from your sales, separate them, because every credit card company is going to give you a different percentage every time. So if you're working with Visa, maybe they charge you 3%. American Express might charge you 5%, etc., okay? So that's why we're going to go ahead and do this for example, and I'll show you exactly what to do. So here, as you can see, we're at this little window here when we got to the record deposit. So here gives us a list of everything that we've received so far. Now, you can either choose all, or you can actually separate them and say, maybe I just want only checks and cash. Now, of course, if you're doing transactions like this, the list can go on and on and on. And, being able to determine which select all the ones that are checks and select all the ones that are cash can be tedious. So this makes it so much easier for you to filter and be able to pull out all the checks for you. Okay? So that's the payment method is going to be checks, cash or checks. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select all of them. Okay? And once I select all of them, these are all the checks that I've received, and I'm going to deposit all of them in grand total of $1,021. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So here is going to show me who was my vendor, how much they paid it for, where are these coming from, and again, because I set up the account already, it's going to be taking from my undeposited funds and moving it into my checking account. Of course, right here, you need to make sure that you do select your checking account. You can place it in savings, you can place it in other accounts, but you want to make sure that you have enough money to pay your bills as well. So checking is always number one. Now, usually you should deposit your checks as soon as you get them, but I believe this one says you did it on the 31st. Not very smart, but you always want to do it at least by the end of the day so that you can keep good records of your accounting, but also don't be the one that's the reason why you're missing so much money from the company. Okay? And we're doing a deposit. So this is when I am going to deposit my checks, okay, from the sales that I've received, all right? Other things that you could also encounter is, what if I want to reinvest more money into my company, right? If I'm a sole proprietor, but in this case, I am not a sole proprietor. This is an actual S corporation. However, I'm the whoever the owner is, they can also make a payment as an investment, right? So as an S corporation, you have your stocks. But in this case, they decided to just show you an example. If you are a sole proprietor, you can reinvest more money into your company. That doesn't have to deal with your sales. You can actually invest your own money, okay? Or, yes. Or if you got into a partnership, someone decides to give you the money for investing for you to be able to do whatever you need for your company, then you may do so. So in this case, I'm going to add one more line item down here. So you can add as many line items as you want. And in this case, I'm going to do an investment. So here I have investments right here. Okay? And I believe the memo is going to be owner's investment. All right? And of course, it is a check. Can you tell me what check number this is?
13451.
13451. And of course, it's a check, right? You're not depositing cash. That's general rule of thumb is, the best way of form a transaction is using some type of paper trail. So a check is a good paper trail. Okay? And then of course it's going to be you have no class for it, and for the amount that you're going to apply is going to be for $15,000. Okay? I think that's right? 15,000 is what you're going to invest. Okay. So with that being said, now my grand total has increased to me depositing a total of $16,021.87. All right. And then that is how you make your deposit. You could go ahead and click save and close. Now the bottom section here is, well, do you need to withhold money or do you need a cash back transaction? Now, again, if you are a physical store that has an actual physical lockbox of some sort, whether it's a cash register or a petty cash fund for your minor expenses, that is generally what you would use for the cash back. If you are the owner of the company, general rule of thumb is making that deposit for yourself isn't really a good idea, especially if you're taking cash back without any paper trail. Okay, but you can take it out for various reasons. Now they do say they recommend that you should write a check to yourself as the owner, so that you could deposit it. Again, paper trail is very important. Okay. But yes, this cashback feature here allows you to take out cash for various reasons, whether you want to set up a petty cash fund or you want to set up a cash register, etc., that you need physical cash for. So that's what this section is. And in this case, I do have I have 2 store locations, but I don't have a cash register, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay. And then once I go ahead and save and close, I get that beep of approval, and now it tells me I have 1 more deposit left. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and check my cash register real quick, or check register. All right, as you can see, the first day that you see here is on January 31st. Here's my deposit for the total of $16,000, which increased my checking account by $27,000. Okay, so we started with 1156.2, I think. Now we are at 27, and yes, it says split here. You can go ahead and look at what the deposit was. You could print this out because this is your deposit slip, etc., etc. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and exit out of this. So yes, now there's one more deposit I have to manage, which is going to be the credit card transaction that Maria Cruz has sent me. So here you go. I select this. Now it notifies me that I have 1 more deposit left. I'm going to go ahead and click this, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So here I am right here in my deposit, saying that my full amount is for the $19.50. Now again, I've talked about this a second ago. Credit card companies are going to charge you some kind of fee, whether it's a percentage of your sales or whether it's a straight fee. So in this case, we actually have a I can't remember if it's credit card or I know it's a credit card transaction. Can someone tell me what the account is?
Or bank card fees.
Bank. Okay, thank you. So here you go. Bank card fees is right here. So again, you may encounter anything. And description is going to be, it says discount fee, which doesn't make any sense because you're not being discounted for this. You're being charged for this. So I don't know why they say it's considered a discount fee. It is not. It is a definite charging fee. So you can put whatever notification or memo that you would like that you feel fits this one. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and say it is a credit card charge fee. Okay. All right. Now it's going to say, well, what do you want to do next? So this is what's really cool about QuickBooks is, let's say I need to charge because Miss Maria Cruz paid with her Visa credit card. So therefore, I have to pay 2% of my sales to Visa for collecting the money for me. So in this case, it's 2%. Now, I can use a calculator and punch this in and be able to calculate 2% of 1950. But what's awesome about QuickBooks is you can go ahead and go right here and go ahead and type in 1950 multiply, and then you see this little receipt little window. And you can go ahead and type in your 2%. And then this is where you're okay to use enter. All right. And boom, it calculated to me a transaction here. Now, what I forgot to do is I forgot to make it a negative. So it actually added it up to me for $39 exactly. So I'm going to do it again. Okay. So 1950, right? Multiply by negative 0.02 and enter. And there you go. Now it's negative $39. And that's what the bank is going to charge. I mean, that's what the Visa credit card is going to charge me. Okay. And here I'm only going to deposit it. Wait, let's see if it changes it. Yes, so 911 is what is actually going to be depositing into an actual fee, into my actual bank account, checking account. Okay. So again, you could do quick calculations directly into your into any column that has an amount in there. All right. Same thing can apply for your invoices and sales receipt. However, especially on your sales receipt, if you offer 10%, they highly recommend you to show where that 10% discount is, so that this money doesn't just disappear out of nowhere. Okay. And on top of that, it collects it in a specific account. So in this case, mine is going to bank card fees, or bank, yes. So there you go. Here you go. I have a negative $39. So therefore, I'm only going to be receiving $19.11 into my bank account. Again, ignore the cash back option, and we're going to go ahead and click Save and Close. So now that I've done that, I have no more notifications in my record deposits. And if I go into my checking account, again, because we know that the deposit for the credit card should have gone automatically, now here I'm making the adjustment here that I've recorded recorded my credit card transaction for 1911 instead of 1950. All right. So now I have 29,000 instead of 27. All right. Any questions in how to record deposits?
What is you receive a lot of credit card payments like that? Are you going to, you're going to itemize it individually based on the customer?
Not based on the customer, but on the credit card company. Okay, so again, Visa customers or Visa users, depends on what they tell you, right? You're obviously gonna have to negotiate, or not negotiate, when you make the decision to contact Visa, MasterCard, or any of those credit card companies in order to utilize their service to collect the money for you for your when you connect it to your bank, of course, they're gonna give you all the rates of what they charge you. So it could be an annual rate, like an annual fee, or it could be based on a percentage of your sales. So in this case, this was 2% of my sales.
What I'm saying is when you were preparing, when you were showing that particular screen, showing the discount, account, granted everything was Visa that you collected from customers.
Mm-hmm.
So will you be putting them all together and indicate those charges
Okay,
separately?
so you may have to use that line item, the subtotal line item,
Okay.
and then apply your discount on the grand total. Now, obviously, what you're gonna also get to is so when we, going back to that screen, right? Let me see here. When we're here, right? This is what you're talking about. If you have a list of everything, you're gonna get the grand total at the very bottom of um, how much your
Deposit.
total credit cards are going to be. So you can take that number at the very bottom and enter it in. And for Visa, for example, they charge me 2%. So if I had a whole bunch of Visa credit card transactions, right? Because I separated them.
Yeah.
And my grand total was actually like 19,000 something, something, something. You're going to take the total from right here at your total deposits. And you're going to do this right here. And you're just going to recalculate this as that total bottom number and be able to multiply it by whatever percentage they charge you.
Okay. So again, let me just, I'm just, granted we have three customers, there was from three customers. Everything was Visa, you will be itemizing them accordingly, just like what you input on Maria Cruz. After you're done with Maria, you process the other customer's name and input whatever charges are and things like that. Until you get the subtotal to what is to be deposited.
Correct. So for example, right, we had this one, right? Let's just pretend they're all credit card transactions, not checks, right? Yes, you would list them all like this. Now, of course, you have the ability to check mark which one you want to do. If it's easier for you or you feel like it's simpler to just do one person at a time, you have the advantage to click the people that you want to place in here. Remember when before we had the option to either do all cash or check or all Visa payments or all payments. So yes, you can choose. So all of these are checks and I decided to throw in a deposit. You're going to itemize it like this. Once you get a grand total, so right here's my grand total of 1621, right? If I wanted to, I could go ahead and put my bank card fees and I can calculate 2% of the 1621. All right? And then it's going to give me whatever amount that Visa's charging me for, and it will give, and then once I move away from it or click the tab, then it will update the amount that you are actually receiving or what you're actually depositing. Yes? So you create the subtotal first, then you create the line item for your credit card transaction based on your subtotal here.
Okay, I got it.
Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. So now that I can recognize that in my check register, that is it for credit card transactions. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few reports that you can do because of course that's very important. Actually, I think that's tomorrow. Tomorrow is all about the reports, okay? There was some of them that were discussed in chapter 2. And again, when you go to reports, of course, we'll talk more about it right here with customer and receivable. So there was an open invoice one, all right? Now, when we deal with open invoices, of course, that's when we applied all of the invoices here, right? So this is all the invoices that are opened and have not been paid yet, okay? So of course, every transaction that you do when you create an invoice, it's going to apply them here, and it gives you a little report on what invoices haven't been paid yet, but at the same time, it also gives you how many sales you have made as well. Okay, so that's one of the reports that you can do. So I believe I believe chapter 3 we're going to talk more about the reports that you can utilize for customers. So I'll save it for tomorrow. But just if you are just exploring, again, reports are only useful for whatever question that you are asking. So for sales, especially for sales, you definitely are looking at certain pieces of information like how many total sales did I have for the day. You could do sales based on items, okay? So again, we'll go over a few of these tomorrow on what you can do. So again, a list of things that are pertinent to sales in particular. Okay? So I believe that is going to be it for today. Let's go ahead and go over the questions at the end of the book. Okay, the review questions. Let me find my questions here. Okay. Hold on. Okay, the income tracker. I already talked about the income tracker. Okay, so here you go. Page this one. All right, review questions. You guys ready? Okay, question number 1. In all new customers' windows, you find everything except
D.
D, year to end sales information. Yes, you don't find that in creating a new customer. However, once you've created a new customer, or if you've had them for long term, your transactions are going to be at the bottom right corner. So yes, D is correct. Number 2, okay? Wait, hold on. You should record a sales receipt when?
A.
A.
Like
Time of the sale. I have A.
A, by cash, check, or credit card at time of sale is correct. All right. Number 3, okay? Which statement is false? Okay.
B.
B, invoices decrease accounts receivable. That is 100% false. Invoices actually increase accounts receivable, right? The more invoices you send out, the more people owe you money. Okay. Number 4, you may specify payment terms on a new customer window form.
D.
However, you are also permitted to override the terms on each sale. Yes. So for any instance, okay, so I didn't talk about this, but yes, when you're creating a sales receipt or an invoice, you can change it. That's what permit means, okay? Yes, you can change the terms even if you've already set it in the new customer window. All right. And then lastly, number 5, your company has just accepted payment for an invoice. What should you do?
Receive payment.
Did you say C or D?
Receive payments.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. D. D is correct. You're going to obviously receive a payment. Of course, it has it in its name. When you accept a payment, you're going to utilize the receive payment option. Yes. Never create a sales receipt, okay? Because it will not associate it with anything. It's only at time of sale. Yes, what was that, Lena? You had a question?
That's D, right? D.
D. Yes, D as in dog.
I wrote on the number 1.
Okay. All right. So again, a lot of these questions are pretty much basic questions. My questions that I test you, it's not a certification question. It's not going to be anything that you see. This is questions that I made up using the book. Okay, some of them are actual questions from the actual review questions. So be sure that you read the book, okay? Just a little FYI. All right, so again, tonight for homework is to read chapter 3, which is going to be extending what you can do with your customers. So we're going to look at customer reports, statements, and what happens when a customer decides to return a product. Okay, so we're going to look at customer credits. All right, other than that, if you don't have any questions, you guys are free to go.